Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Sean. Top of the morning to you.
And the rest of the day to you, lad.
Rise and thrive.
Rise and thrive.
That's right.
How's everybody doing today?
Doing good. I'm doing good.
I'm fired up for this week.
Yeah.
I think.
Why are you
I
fired
don't know
up
what,
this week?
Go ahead. What's that again?
What in particular has you fired up?
When this week's over, we enter the fourth quarter. And there's just something I like about, the beginning of a week, beginning of a quarter. It's like, okay, here's a time frame. We can accomplish some things in this time frame.
Yeah. It's exciting. Winding down. Also a time for starting up. New beginnings. New year.
Yeah.
Coming. Yeah.
We're going to be talking about business planning here pretty soon.
Yeah. We are. I mean, you and I have to get together because we were both tapped on the shoulder to come together and possibly do a business class together for either our respective offices or for the region. So we have to close the loop on that. We'll be sure to let everyone know here what we're working on, but we want to do that relatively soon, right?
Yeah, I think really October is the best time to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys always get a sneak peek on everything. So we have a theme for today.
What's
I was
that
thinking,
theme?
What's the theme?
What's the theme?
I thought today's theme was handling some of the objections we've been getting lately.
Oh, yeah.
Objections. But I thought it'd be fun to open it up, right? To everybody who's here first. If you've gotten any objections, especially anything new, type it in the notes or come on and we'll see if we can stump Steve.
Well, you certainly get more objections. You get concerns when the market's moving around, don't you?
Absolutely.
I mean, your playbook has to open up when the market's just kind of throttling by and moving at such a pace that we've experienced over the last couple of years. Your playbook is very narrow because we're hearing the same things, right? And it's usually on the acquisition of property. Pricing's less of an issue. Timing's less of an issue. The last 2.5 years, I think you would probably agree with me, and if you don't, I know you'll say so. But that is that it's always about, we've had to deal, how do I secure this property? And so it's a form of, structuring the deal, the art of structuring that, and then handling the objections when a buyer is, reluctant to maybe step to the line and go over a line that they never thought they'd have to cross, normally the price, right? But now, the playbook opens up because the industry is being challenged in multiple ways, right? So increase in inventory, rising interest rates, longer days on market. Staging is becoming more of a thing again, right? It's really understanding in the industry at any given moment. There's always a red light, green light concept at work, isn't there?
And a misbalance. There's always a misbalance to some degree somewhere that creates a little tension in the market. By the way, I have to throw out there, if anybody needs a phenomenal stager, let me know. I got a recommendation.
There you go. Phenomenal stagers are good.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I have an odd sense of fun, but we're going back to where agents have to be agents and have to do the work. For the last couple of years, the work was in handling multiple offers or writing multiple offers. It was a drudgery in some ways of paperwork, but there wasn't a lot of, we have to do the staging, and the pricing is uber important. It didn't matter because the damn thing would just catch up immediately if you were overpriced. How are we going to market this? The skill sets, what we say and how we say it is our skill set. And we need to be really honing that again.
Yeah. Well, what you say matters, and how you say it matters.
Right.
And so we can get to that, but I just want to acknowledge what you just said, which is, I think in my years in this business, I don't think I've ever been through a more tumultuous, opportunistic, challenging market in the history of my 34 years in real estate. This has been one of the most mentally anguishing, exhausting times. The pandemic comes, you're scared. What does this mean? We learned pretty quickly that it meant people wanted to put the value of where they live before everything else. And so we started seeing this surge, which was probably pent-up demand that we didn't fully understand, but then coupled with, here's what I want for my life and here's where I want to live it. And so people were getting crazy. And so now suddenly moved from being absolutely frozen, almost paralyzed, to this, the fire hose opened up and we're riding on top of the water. I mean,
Right.
we're not even getting hit by it. We're just running with it. And then you've got another shift in the market, which we're experiencing now. So the last 2.5 years has been really challenging mentally. I can
That's
say
wild.
myself. I mean, I know there are times where it's just mentally exhausting, and it's tough sometimes to confront the day, not knowing what's going to happen now, or what's the new emergency.
In your description, I'm glad you said opportunistic, because as we know, there's always opportunity, especially when things are moving. That's when the biggest opportunities happen, because no one's sure exactly what's happening. When it was this crazy market, we all knew what was happening. Get it on the market, you're going to get multiple offers. If you're writing offers, you're probably going to lose out until you've written 5 or 8 of them. But the opportunity's smaller because everyone knows what's happening. Everyone knows how it's happening. Right now, whether it's you expanding your business or taking on a niche, there's an opportunity right now to deep dive and own that market by the time we start 2023, which we've talked about before. I don't want to go down that path, but this is the time right now.
It is. And, it's now more than ever, it's really about your reputation, your ability to influence people. Like, how are you influencing them, be it through social media, through your success, through a persistent campaign of affirmation about what you do what makes you unique. Knowing what makes you unique is so important.
Right.
But that's a different subject. But influence is part of succeeding when it comes to objection handling. It's when people perceive that you know more than them, that you have the power to influence them. And some people, it's a real superpower, isn't it? For some,
it is. And I wanted to, as we get into this handling objections, I wanted to make share two thoughts. One is, people are sometimes afraid that what we're learning to do is manipulate people. When you learn a good script, when you understand how people are thinking or what fears, and like you, I've been doing this almost 35 years. I've never yet been able to manipulate someone into buying or selling a home.
No.
It's just too big.
No.
That's not the idea. The idea here is to understand that we're dealing with people who are in fear. Almost always, the biggest fear they'll have in their life is doing this, or if they get tapped to go do public speaking somewhere. Those are the biggies.
Yeah.
And what you're doing by learning the right things to say and how to handle objections is you're learning how to help them get out of their own way. How to help them overcome the fears and see you for the value you are, right, so that you can help them get where they're going. That's the objective. Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, look, let me see if you agree with this, right? To me, scripts are your beliefs. Scripts are your beliefs. So
you have to explain that one more.
Well, there's a fine line between being powerful and being authentic. If I am confronting something that I know to be true, my skill, my talent lies in my ability to convey what it is that I know in such a way that it influences others. And I'm going to use words that I've practiced because this problem has presented itself in my life over and over and over again. And I've been forced to confront it. So in confronting it, I've learned some things and I'm able to articulate that. That's a script. My script is my belief. Let me there are 3 things you got to learn, I think, in handling objections. But the first thing is, number one, is to be authentic. Mm-hmm. No matter, and to learn how to be disagreeable without being disagreeable. There's a way that you want to join forces with someone who is taking the wrong position on something you know to be true. The truth is that you know that you know that you know. And how you do that is by not subtly. I don't think we realize sometimes how we discount or we disagree with people in ways through our body language, our voice tonality, these little twitches. Like someone says something, and you might say, "Well, I appreciate how you feel," but before you even use those words, you kind of, and they saw that. So does that make sense? I mean, that's what I'm saying. So being Being authentic is having the confidence to let people express themselves in a way without you signaling that they're wrong. And in fact, join forces with them and then lean into what you know in an authentic way by using words that work.
So I think that's a very good point. And there's a way to deal with that personally, because we can have the script and, like you said, telegraph that we disagree in a way that makes them defensive before we've even had the conversation.
Right.
The key to this is the ABC. Always be curious. When they have an objection, instead of knowing it to be wrong, realize that you may not even know exactly what they're thinking. I almost guarantee you don't, because they don't know what they're thinking. It's coming out as an objection, but we don't know what's really going on. And if you stay in that place of curiosity, then you'll learn more. The most important thing we can make the person feel is we have to meet them where they are, is heard. I worry sometimes, Steve, like we teach the techniques, always repeat the last few words someone says. Well, it sounds like manipulation again, but the reason you do that is it relays to them that they've been heard. You actually heard what they said. You have to remember that what they said may not actually have any meaning. You have to go explore them. And if you stay there, then I think you stay authentic, like you're saying.
Oh, yeah, no, it's one of the greatest lines I've ever learned in my life is help me understand.
Help me understand.
Help me understand. So, it's and it's more common now than when I first heard it, because there was a time I like that script. I've never heard anyone use that language with me. And now you see as we evolve, like I even find myself, and I can't stand when right. Like when did we adopt this into our life? Like affirming that, like, right? It makes me crazy. And sometimes I do it. But I think help me understand. It really comes from a place of curiosity.
Right.
And as you are, and no matter what they say in handling an objection, even if I know that I believe they are off on a tangent that's not going to be productive for them, I'm listening, I'm writing down, and I'm probing. And I keep probing. And once I get to the point where I've exhausted everything I think they've got to share with me, I ask for permission to address what they've just shared. May I share with you a perspective that I have on this issue that I think you might find interesting?
Right.
Not that let me share with you my way of thinking, because I'm right here and you're wrong. May I share something with you that I think might get you to look at this just a little bit differently from my lens? May I? It's something I learned so early on in my career in sales from Floyd Whitman when he said, never, ever speak to inattention. And what did that mean? I never understood. What does he, don't speak to inattention? Inattention is when you just decide to go, you see a green light because you've got the answer and you just go for it. And you give people the answer without asking for permission to share that knowledge with them. It's such a subtle, huge thing.
Right. Subtle and huge.
And
usually that goes hand in hand with thinking I have the answer and bulldozing forward.
Right. Well,
and I guarantee you don't actually have the answer if you haven't explored them. So here's something I've been working on lately, and I don't know what to call it yet. But as a theme, rather than a script, okay, here's an answer to, will you lower your commission? And we have those. We can give you those. If you think the theme in your head all the time is, first of all, I want to explore the dream. No matter what they're doing, they're making an emotional decision that they're then going to justify logically. Even if they're doing an objection, it's an emotional, usually fear-based response. You want to go and explore their dream with them. It changes the conversation and the tone. It helps you actually understand all the moving parts.
Right.
When I fully understand your dream, then my job is to treat you holistically. Right? I love that word right now. Look, this isn't a price point. It's not a commission. It's not an interest rate. Too many people look at these as independent islands of their own thing. Well, let's discuss commission. These are all combined. And my job, Mr. and Mrs. Client, is to make this dream come true. And if I can make this dream come true in the numbers that work for you, right, then we should get started on it.
Like this script. Let's remember, Sean, Mr. Seller, that our objective here is to accomplish this.
Right. But you have to know what the this is.
Learn how to tie them back to their goals when they're confronting fear and something that they think they're going to lose. It's not about losses. What do you want to gain here? It's
Right.
every negotiation, every transaction is a dance of 2 steps or 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, the whole way through. It's finding compromise. I remember I thought I saw the greatest line ever on Yellowstone when John Dutton, Kevin Costner says, someone says, well, was that fair? Like he was talking about a negotiation he was having. He goes, let me tell you something about fairness. Fairness is where one side gets exactly what it is they want in such a way as the other side cannot complain. There's no such thing as fairness. And really in negotiation, that's it, isn't it? I thought that was such a brilliant line, and in a movie or Yellowstone's a series. But I just love that line. There is no such thing as fairness. It's finding a way where one side gets what it wants in such a way as the other side can't complain about it.
That's the objective.
That's the objective.
So when you're doing this, no matter what they're saying, if you explore it, you're going to get a clearer picture of why they're objecting, and then you can explore that. Now we have scripts for obvious ones, but the obvious ones usually aren't the problem. When people talk about, that guy said he could sell my home for more than you. That's not really the objection. The objection is they are not, in my opinion, again, we haven't explored it, but what they're really saying is, I don't have that level of trust yet. I don't feel confident enough yet in you. And therefore, there's these other options still around. And while we have to address the objection, what we really need to know in our head is, I need to create more trust here. I need to create more belief so that they can feel confident. Yeah. People buy confidence.
Well, they buy your story, and your story is the story you have about things that you've internalized through experience. And how you deliver, it's really the key, right? It's not just the words that you have, it's the delivery. And the delivery has to be one of cooperation and joining forces. What you believe and the words that you have queued up are powerless if you don't do it right, it undermines the whole endeavor if you don't deliver it properly. Like your words are powerless if you're undermining what it is you're about to say. I'd like, the easiest one is I'd list with you, but you need to do it for 4%. Well, I'd like to. What do you mean you'd like to? You just undermine anything you're about to say.
Right.
Instead of saying, well, that's an interesting perspective, because what I'd like to address with you and probe is how you're valuing the services of the person that's going to handle the single biggest transaction you're about to make, probably for the next 5 to 7 years. Can we talk about that so that I might share with you how I view the investment you're about to make in someone who's highly capable and qualified? Again, just a cappella here, but if I say I'd like to, but I can't, Sean won't let me, my broker won't let me. You've just undermined anything you're about to say. And when we're nervous because we haven't practiced our scripts, we haven't gotten feedback on how we approach certain things, that's really important, right? Like, it's one thing to have the dialogues, but do you practice them? Get feedback from somebody that you trust and know has been successful at a very high level to say, here, tweak this, get rid of that, add this, right? That's really important. Anyway, I digress. But
speaking of high level, we have a special guest here. I was just looking at who was here. Liz is on.
Oh, Liz is on. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
We got it.
Hi, Liz.
We have to behave.
Hope I didn't say
Good morning. Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you here with all these phenomenal agents.
I think that what you guys are saying is so amazing. I did have a question, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Please.
So, Sean, when you were talking about the other guy said he could get more money for my home than you're saying, and you kind of went aside and were explaining to go ahead and explore that. I'd love to hear how you would explore that.
Oh, so I would ask him, tell me more about that. What exactly are we looking for here? Because sometimes we get lost in numbers. For instance, right now I can guarantee you 5% more than anybody else. You know how I do that? We offer a 5% credit to the buyer. Now, did you come out ahead in that situation? See, it's more important than just any one number, Mrs. Seller. So let's talk about what's really important to you here. And eventually where I'm going to take them, that was the 2-part. One is explore the dream. We're going to end up in the net, in the holistic. What matters is making your dream come true. So changing the price or changing the commission may or may not help you achieve the actual dream. That's where I would explore it.
Got it. Got it. Steve, any thoughts on that?
No, I 100% agree. Nothing to add to what is correct there. I think that no, it's because there's only a single truth. There aren't,
Look,
you know what I mean? Like, there are different ways to get to heaven, but
correct.
to me, it's knowing at your core. Like, all of us on this call, most of us on the call, have been doing this for a while. I'm sure there are some that have been doing it for less time, but what my biggest script that I have for myself that always is playing in my head that helps me answer any question is, I'm the best decision you're going to make tonight. Hiring me is the best decision you're going to make. And my role in the next 45 minutes is to demonstrate with confidence why that is. And part of it is just when you tell yourself that story, I'm the best decision anyone's going to make when they meet with me about real estate, you show up differently. So the biggest script you got to tell yourself isn't worrying about what someone else may or might do or might say, right or wrong. It starts right there. I think that is so important because that opens you up to being confident and not being on your heels when someone hits you with something that you weren't anticipating. I mean, if I'm the best decision they're going to make, I have to believe there's nothing they can say that's going to throw me off because I'm there to show up to service them and nothing more and nothing less. Anyway,
sometimes the responses too are meant to explore. Sometimes the scripts are meant to clarify. You know, like one of my favorite short scripts is when you have a buyer who's hesitant and you feel very strongly this is the home that they've been looking for. And we all know that feeling, but they're still afraid. The clarifying question I ask them is, you know, they want to sleep on it, they want to do whatever. And you say, but whatever, I understand. Let me ask you a question. Next month, when you're driving by this place on your way to taking the kids to school and you see someone else living in your home, are you going to be okay with it? You're going to get either hell no, and that will help them clarify, let's get an offer written, or they'll actually say, well, I don't know if it would bother me. Then maybe you're wrong. Maybe it's not the house for them. But when you word it that way, when someone else is living in your home, you're going to get a very clear answer back.
yeah.
You know what, Sean? I love that question because I think many, many times we as agents are so locked into what we believe is the truth that we don't, you know, we're no, this is it. This is it. This is it. And that would really clarify for the agent. Okay, maybe I'm off target here. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's one of my favorites. Now, Wendy says, if you sleep on it, someone else is going to be sleeping in it.
Love it, Wendy.
That's fun.
Well, I think it's important to practice this whole process too, right? Because I think that one of the things that shows up in your authenticity when handling objections is I think your experience is always going to be in question, or it's going to reveal your capability. If you've been an agent fortunate enough to close 500 transactions, your experience is going to show up differently than someone who's only closed 15 deals. And what am I saying? It's why it's so important to practice or be with someone that you know is an expert in your field who's willing to share some time with you to hear and give you a path forward in terms of practicing. If you don't have enough experience, the best thing you can do for yourself is to practice. It's to practice those dialogues and get the feedback and course correct and constantly put yourself with your team. If you're a team principal on this call and you've got buyer specialists, this should be something you do every week. Today we're going to role play this so that you can put your people at least in the arena where they have some experience confronting the objections that we hear on a regular basis. If you don't have enough experience doing it yourself.
And first of all, by the way, in the remarks, if you want a set of scripts, like I've got one that's called my favorite scripts, or like 8 that I'm sending out to people. Put your name in there, I'll send them to you. We don't come here and just do scripts for you guys. I think normally we talk about the wheres and the whys. There's also a really helpful thing to understand with learning dialogue. First, you practice it, like Steve said. That's just on your own. You just memorize the dang thing until it's in your head. Then you start role playing. Role playing is very different from learning a script. You should already know the script so that you can get to the role play. And the role play is where you have fun. That's where you mess with each other. What role play teaches you is the real world dynamic of a client leading you off track and you being able to get back on track. You stay with them, you answer their question, and then you bring it back. The only way you get good at that is already knowing the script and then playing it out with a fellow agent who's trying to mess with you.
Yeah.
It should be fun. I mean, this should be fun too, you guys.
Yeah.
It's a hard work what we do for a living. You should enjoy it while you do it. Matter of fact, there's some fun things you can do. Do we have time? I'm going to share you one listing, one commission objection that's for me a fun one that I've used and like. You're sitting there at the table with them. You've gone through most of it. It feels very good, and they say, we'd like you to lower your commission, to 4% or whatever. And you start in on whatever script you normally use. No, I understand that completely. Let's talk about why commissions are what they are and whatever. There's 5 different scripts for this. What you do, though, is halfway through your script, you go like this. And that's why, wait a minute. Are you testing my ability to negotiate? If no one has ever done this before. Is that how you're hiring the agent? Are you testing to see how good a negotiator they are? Because that's brilliant if that's what you're doing. How did I do?
That was great.
Not only is it fun, but what are they going to do? Nope. I just wanted you to, of course I'm brilliant. Of course I'm smart. Of course that's what I was doing. And you did a great job. And you're done with the commission question. Have fun with this stuff.
Yep, for sure.
I don't
Love it. No, it's great.
I think it should be fun.
It is. Well, it is fun because it's practicing your art. It is an art, and it's what what do we get paid to do as real estate professionals, right? People say, well, we get paid to sell houses or help people find houses, and I look at it. I think we get paid to help solve people's problems, and the problems that we confront are pretty consistent. Like there are very few problems new to this industry. Most of us haven't experienced either on either side, the buy side and the sale side. And if you practice, handling those objections that come from just about either side on a regular basis, you just show up differently. You show up with that confidence that says, in your mind, without having to articulate it, I'm the best decision you're going to make. And when you have that in your mind, it's obvious. Your mind was really strong.
Right, because again, I can't overemphasize this enough. People buy confidence. They refer expertise. If you want to get referrals, you have to show expertise. But they don't buy expertise. They buy confidence.
No.
You instill confidence in them. You remove the fears, then they will hire you. And that comes from, like you said, knowing your own value and being practiced at delivering it.
Like I said a minute ago, people that we perceive to know more than us influence us. Influence is the key to establishing trust with strangers. If you were to ask anyone on this call, if you say, well, what's my superpower? What feedback do most of you get from other people about something you do that they appreciate? How are you telling that story about yourself? Right?
But to answer that question in the remarks, please, by the way, that Steve just asked, what is your superpower? For those who know, but they have one.
Yeah,
if you don't, get with your sales manager or somebody and find out what yours is.
What do people appreciate about you most? If you don't know, ask your clients, what is it in this transaction that you appreciate? What did I deliver that you valued the most? That is your superpower.
All right, I'm going to, I took everybody's name down, so I'll email you in the next 10 minutes and send out those. Before we sign off, Liz, did you have anything else?
I think what you guys are doing and the way that you're bringing this is so valuable. I wish that every single person on this call would tell 2 people that they need to be on the call, because, these are the kinds of conversations that people need to hear so that they can get out of their own heads. Because when it's not working for you, that spirals. You just get more of the same.
That's right.
If you continue to do the same. So my thought is, if we could just get this group to help grow the group, I think it would be really, really invaluable. Some of the things that you guys are touching on this morning are really in the slide deck for the sales meetings. So it's a perfect lead in. I don't know if there's anybody from La Jolla on the call, but I will be actually conducting La Jolla's meeting today because Phil is not feeling well. And in the slide deck, this is exactly where we're going. So I think that guys, tell people to. I don't have my face on here, but I'm here. Be here. Tell your friends. I guess that's my new mantra right now. Tell your friends. You know, someone said, "Oh my God, Compass did this really well," and I sent back, "Tell your friends." You know, because I think it's incumbent upon us to grow the community, right? And so I would like to throw that challenge out to everybody that's on the call.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Liz. That's
Yeah.
and we're I mean, what I love with Compass is we're one family. These aren't franchises competing with each other, anything like that. Let's get more people involved in the things we do here. We love Inside the Huddle. Steve has his class. We have things going on. Get people there. Let's make sure we're always the better agent, the more qualified agent in a transaction.